Arsenal becoming a feeder club. Strong stuff. Disagree with him?
Being a feeder club?
Yeah.
No.
Do you?
No, I don't think. I think what Dave's talking about is like when you're losing players like Fabregas, Van Persie, Nasri, all those kind of players. You know, if Arsenal are going to win things, or in previous years going to win things, you can't let those players go, especially to a Manchester City, a Manchester United, a Chelsea, or whatever it may be. Those players are there to make your club better. And I understand what Dave's talking about there, because he's saying to himself, well, if Arsenal keep saying we're a big club and we're trying to win things, how can we let these players go to another club just as big as us, if not bigger, and winning things there? And I think he's bang on there.
Well, I mean, he's drawn the parallels there with the likes of Aaron Ramsey leaving the football club. Ozil is slightly different because he can't get in the side now. In January window as well, regardless of who is available, made it very clear, loan signings only.
Yeah.
And those previous players he talked about, your Van Persies, your Nasris, etc., that was all at the time when Arsenal were under the cosh to pay for the stadium. The idea was to go there, get the revenues up, and then they compete with the biggest and the best. What's happened?
Well, I thought at this stage Arsenal come out the back of that now. You know, they're filling their stadium. It's not cheap to go and watch Arsenal Football Club. And you would have thought by now, stadium's well established, they would have their finances in order and they'll be able to push on and be closer to winning the Premier League again. Doesn't obviously look like it's the case. You know, I was shocked when I heard the manager say the other day that we're only in the market for loan signings. That took me back a little bit, you know. I was very, very surprised, and I bet everyone else in the top four were delighted to hear that, you know, because it looks like Arsenal are not going to be pushing on. They're not going to be able to recruit any money by selling anyone because they seem to be running down their players' contracts and they leave for nothing, which is obviously not good business anyway, because there's some value in Aaron Ramsey. If you're not going to keep him at your football club, then try and get some money for him. Unfortunately, they can't do that now. He's run his contract down. And not only that, they've got a player in Mesut Ozil who could probably play in any team on his day in the Premier League, and he plays no part. He can't even get in a squad. The manager doesn't like him. Now, I don't blame the manager for Arsenal's plight at the moment because I think he's done brilliantly since he's been in there. He seems to have got an identity back to how he wants them to play. It's early days yet. I still think they've got frailties at the back. They need to address that, obviously, with a few windows, but it's going to be more difficult if they're only going to bring in loans. But surely he has to get Ozil on side. He's one of his best players. If he doesn't want to, Jeff, you know, if he feels like it can't be bothered, you've got to be bothered with it. You cannot burn bridges of a player who's on 350 grand a week and he's just sitting there doing nothing. You have to get him on side, to get him on the pitch and do his best for the football club, which is going to make the team better.
But should a player be there on merit, regardless of what he's getting paid? If there's a young kid in front of him who's on a tenth of his wages, if he's putting in a shift, does he not deserve to be there ahead of him?
Well, if he's putting in a shift and Arsenal playing really well and creating loads of chances, it's totally different. But if Arsenal not doing that, which the past few games they've not done that, you got, like Tim said, one of their best players, if not their best player, not within the squad. You know, I think he was in Turkey the weekend watching the game. Now, come on, Arsenal. I think he's better off in your squad playing away at West Ham where you can try and create something for you to win the game, than having a day off in Turkey. So it's a strange one. And from the outside looking in, I'm saying to myself now, all the Arsenal fans back in last season say, Wenger, he's got to go, he's got to go, he's got to go. Now looking at it, can you really say now it was all down to Wenger? If you can only bring in loans now, where's all the money gone?
Do you think it's still part? I mean, it's only just over half a season since Arsene Wenger left the football club. There's still a huge rebuild there, and there's a lot of what is left behind in terms of wages and players on contracts there for Unai Emery to shift through, and it hasn't necessarily bottomed out yet.
No, it hasn't. But I mean, like I said, being football people, you got to look at it logically. You turn around and say to yourself, like, once one manager goes, of course you're going to leave players there on big contracts, or players might be running down the contracts or whatever. But you got to make a decision. Now, you know the transfer window opens in January, yeah? You can't come out and say we've only got loanees. We're not talking about a championship team now. We're talking about one of the biggest teams in the world. We've got money for the summer, but not in January. What if you're pushing to try and win the league? You're supposed to be pushing to try to get a Champions League spot for next season. There's no money. How are you going to get there?
I mean, at the same time, do you think Arsenal fans should be concerned, or these things just happened? The head of recruitment, Sven Mislintat, is reported to be unhappy that he's not being made the technical director, but there seems to be some substance into him leaving the club. Now, he was trumpeted when he arrived. He was known as Diamond Eye, a great spotter of talent. I don't know if you come across him at all?
I have, yeah. I have when he was at Dortmund. He's a great spotter of talent, very much so. And for players, not necessarily who everyone would recognise, but he finds one and polishes it up. He finds it for the manager, and he allows the manager to develop it into something special. He's got a track record for that. He's well sought after. He will not have a trouble going to find another job. If he wants to leave Arsenal Football Club, it's because he's been promised something what they haven't delivered, and that is a big worry. That is an asset to the football club, Sven, definitely, 100%. But he's a stubborn guy as well. And if he doesn't get his own way, he will walk away and he'll go and find another job and do what he's good at. He's going to find the talent. At the moment, there's no point going to find talent if you've got no money to spend. You can't find free transfers out there, Jeff. You cannot keep going and find loans what are going to make your team, which is 6th in the Premier League, better. It's impossible to do.
And also, as well, what do they do with Mesut Ozil right now? You say is there any way, can you get him back on side? This argument about Ozil and his performance and his style of play seems to be going on forever, wherever he's been. As you say, creative genius, but doesn't always necessarily do enough in the eyes of some of his managers or teammates.
Yeah, but I think when you have a player like that and he's doing the game as a luxury player, you get on with it because you know at some stage you're going to produce that little bit of magic. I'll prefer to have someone like that in the team, and me personally work that little bit harder to get the ball back to him so he can produce that little bit of magic that might give me an opportunity or give a teammate an opportunity. I said there's no point in not being involved in the squad. Involve him in the squad. If he's on the bench, he comes on for 10 minutes. He's brilliant for 10 minutes, then nick a goal or win a game. He's got to be doing that and not being involved because the manager's basically saying, these players here are better than him. Yeah. I'm not quite sure about that.
He's got some flavour.
Yeah.
Their midfield is very Guendouzi, Torreira. They're similar types. Good at what they do, break it up, good energy, put their foot in. They cannot see that pass like Mesut Ozil can. You ask Coley, who do you want to play behind you there? Mesut Ozil. You ask Lacazette, you ask Aubameyang, who you want to play. Get him out, get him on side again. Talk to him, get your arm around him, tell him what he needs to be told. Even if you mean it or you don't, you tell him and make sure he feels like he's the main man because Mesut Ozil, on form, is better than anything Arsenal have got at that club. Not only that, Jeff, he's eating away at that wage bill every single week. And that's key, because that's wasted. That money, you might as well just pour it down the drain every single week if that boy's not on the pitch. Get him on the pitch. It might be against your principles or what you want to do. You might not want to babysit him as much as you need to. Or you don't want to do it at all. But as a manager, if you want to get results, you're better with him in your team than without him in your team. So get him on side.
Because you're only going to have the same problem in the summer. How much you want for him? I don't know, for instance, I want 50 million. If no one wants to pay 50 million, what are you going to do?
Not only that, if you try and give him away tomorrow, who's going to pay him 350 grand a week? Where's he going to go? He's not been playing.
Yeah.
So you're going to end up having to pay half his wages for him to go and play for someone else.